Good afternoon, Cincinnati Rotarians. My name is Doug Bolton. Honored to be your president for this year. What a beautiful time to be talking about one of the largest regional collaboratives, climate collaboratives in the United States. Our speaker today. Our speaker program committees knocked it out of the park as well. For next week, we have a 102-year-old Army veteran who will be addressing us. Reminder that the reservations are due by tomorrow at 5 p.m. And as well, our speaker has some disabilities that doesn't allow him to take questions after his presentation. So if you have some questions, always wanted to ask a 102-year-old Army veteran, please send those questions in advance to Steve Dreyfel. He put his email contact information in the e-raise. And please do that. And while we're talking about deadlines, we asked, they delivered. We have a ride-along scheduled for the USS Cincinnati on November 13th. So it's a quick turnaround. You need to let Bob McElroy know that you can go and do this ride-along in San Diego on Monday, November 13th. You need to let him know that you can do it tomorrow. Obviously, ordering your plane ticket to get there is an important piece of that coordination, but we have 6 spots, and they're only reserved for Cincinnati Rotarians. So if you've ever dreamed of doing a ride-along on a famous ship, now is your time to be able to do that. Make a little fun trip. Bob's flying out on Sunday, coming back on the red eye on Monday, so he knows exactly how to coordinate your flights if you need that help. But let's do it. And let's begin this meeting the normal way with a national anthem led by Ken Coggeshall and Janet Metzler. Ken?
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you, Ken and Janet. And Michael, Michael Villardo, will you lead us in our 4-way test and invocation? And please keep in your prayers, excuse me, member Kelly Mahan, who lost her father this past Saturday. Michael?
Thank you, President Doug. Janet, the organ took me back to Crossley Field and Ronnie Dale and playing. Anybody else remember that? Anybody else remember Ronnie Dale and the organ at Crossley Field? Thank you for that. Thank you.
Play ball.
All right. Play ball. I was waiting to hear that. Let's pray together. God of all creation, of all that is good and all that is just, we gather today to celebrate the spirit of Rotary and the power of community. We're grateful for the opportunity to serve others, make a difference in the world. Just last week, we stepped out and invited others to join us in important volunteer work throughout the greater Cincinnati community. We ask that you always guide us in our work and help us to be mindful of the needs of those around us and to act with compassion and kindness. Today our meeting sponsor and our speaker are here to remind us to listen to what the earth and and the climate are saying to us, and to respond in ways that turn us and others toward policies and actions supporting a sustainable environment for all. Indeed, as one writer reminds us, humans have been part of the world's history for less than 99.999% of the history of the world. Help us to live as part of your creation, not from the top of a chain of being, but as the tip of one small branch of a very huge and verdant tree. We pray for peace in a world so in need of peace. We pray for understanding. We pray for unity among all people, regardless of race, religion, ethnicity, or nationality. May we continue to work together to build a better world for all. We pray in all the holy names of God. Amen. Now join with me as we proclaim things we think and do as Rotarians. Is it true? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Be seated.
Thank you, Michael. You may be seated. And Dan Long, let's meet our visiting Rotarians and guests.
Today, I'm sure will go down as a very, very lucky day in the history of the Cincinnati Rotary Club, as we have 13 guests to introduce today. So I hope there's a few minutes left. For the speaker. I would like to introduce Suzanne Allen from Hyde Park Community Methodist, a guest of Todd Anderson. Charlie Gonzalez with Green Umbrella, a guest of the speaker. We have two visiting Rotarians checking in from Alpharetta, Georgia, Josh Jarvis and Joe Shabana. We have Joanne Gerson with Faith Communities Go Green, a guest of Terry O'Neill. Pablo Sidler from Anchor Glass Container, a guest of Terry O'Neill. Kit Bruner from Queen City Impact, a guest of Chad Meter. We have Rejani Menon from the Women's Fund of the Greater Cincinnati Foundation, a guest of Deborah Ford. Adam Kiefaber, a communications executive, brought here by Dan Spittle. Michael Vassar with R.W. Baird, Gino Tansel, Greg Wingfield, DePaul Cristo Rey High School, Melissa English, here from the Ohio Citizens Action, and finally, Kylie Johnson, the Ohio Environmental Council. I want to point out today that yesterday was Michael Shossman's birthday. And Michael would like nothing more than for each of us to bring a new member into our club. So please do that. And I will be handing out these slips of paper, which not only serve as a calendar for what's coming up in November, December, but the idea is for you to fold it up, put it in your pocket, and that's your reminder when you get back to your office to call that person that you've been thinking about for the last couple of months, but you've forgotten to call. So please use this wisely.
Thank you, Dan. So speaking of Michael Shossman, Michael, please stand up. Gary Kendall, please stand up. Chad Nieder, please stand up. Shamira Smith, please stand up. Bill Stilley, please stand up. Janet, lead us. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Rotarians.
Rotarians' 3rd birthday, so Bill Stilley was a major contributor to getting these t-shirts all together for Rotary Due Days. And we have a slew of t-shirts left over, so if you did not get a t-shirt, please pick one up. And more importantly, if you know a Rotarian, and I have 2 for you visitors, you got one. Okay, awesome. If you know of a Rotarian who doesn't make it to the weekly lunch for some reason or not, please take a t-shirt and deliver it to them and make sure you get it in their hands. All right, so as Michael referred to, our meeting sponsor today, Paul Harris founded this organization as a group of ethical business leaders, so very appropriate for us to be celebrating businesses and organizations in our community. Our sponsor today will be announced by Ariel Miller. Ariel?
Hi, everybody. The sponsor for today's meeting is Faith Communities Go Green, which was started by Joanne Gerson, one of my guests, and James Buchanan from the Rugerman Center at Civic University. This is an innovative coalition of people from greater Cincinnati, Muslim, Jewish, Christian, Baha'i, Zoroastrian, Hindu, any congregation, any faith community is welcome to be part of this. And these are people who are working together out of shared values, compassion for a suffering humanity, and dedication to good stewardship of the planet on which we depend. We were organized under Green Umbrella, and we are now working with Equation, the interfaith group that puts on the Festival of Faith. So if you go to the Festival of Faith or Earth Day celebrations, you're going to see Joanne and me at a table. We have 3 different services we offer to congregations for free. One is to help buildings become more energy efficient, to use less energy, and make their buildings more sustainable. Another is education and lifestyle, resources to help people learn about how to be good stewards. And this is how Bob Beekner went to hear Catherine Hayhoe. He went over to Mount St. Joe and sat in on a video presentation of one of her speeches, and that's why this world-renowned climate scientist, who is married to an evangelical pastor, came and gave a talk to us at the beginning of this year. And then I'm co-chair of the advocacy group, so I am watching state policy on environmental sustainability and also hearings of regulatory agencies, and send out an email newsletter to people, giving them an opportunity to advocate on the basis of their faith. So on the way out, please take one of the brochures about Faith Communities Go Green and some chocolate. And if you want to help, we have a training opportunity for volunteers to do low-level building assessments to help congregations figure out how they can make their buildings greener. Thanks.
Thank you, Ariel. So you heard a little bit about Paul Harris. Our Paul Harris expert, Bill Shula, the Rotary International Foundation Chair for our club, is going to announce some very special recipients. Bill?
And also speak a little bit about what our Rotary Foundation is all about. Because this is Rotary Foundation Month, folks. And I'm honored to be here today that we are recognizing 3 of our fellow Rotarians for their support of the Rotary International Foundation, Ariel Miller, Steve King, and Ed Mattis. We have an excellent Cincinnati Rotary Foundation which does such outstanding things within our community. The Rotary Foundation truly is international, serving hundreds of countries around the world. Our club has received over $100,000 from the RI Foundation since 2015 for projects that we've been doing with our club. You can donate to any of the 7 areas in polio eradication. And the areas are peace and conflict resolution, disease prevention, sanitation, hygiene, maternal and child care, basic education and literacy, economic and community development, and recently added within the last couple of years, environmental issues. So they have added that to a list, plus polio eradication. In 1905, Paul Harris started the Rotary with 3 men in the Chicago area. They rotated their meetings, and therefore we got the name Rotary. Their first service project was in 1906. They provided toilet facilities outside the Chicago City Hall and new horses for many of the visiting doctors, because back then they rode a horse to go visit their patients. They donated money to do that. The foundation started in 1917 in Atlanta. The endowment fund was started by President at that time, Arch Klump, entitled Service and Helpfulness. Arch was from Cleveland, Ohio, and started the foundation at a Rotary conference with a donation of $26.50. In 1985, Polio Plus program was introduced. At that time, 350,000 children were afflicted by polio each year. It has been eliminated in the United States in 1994, based on what Rotary was doing at the eradication. It has been eliminated now at the 99.9% level. We're still dealing with Afghanistan and Pakistan. Cincinnati honorary Rotarian, this is our honor Rotarian, Albert Sabin, was key in developing the oral vaccine in the Cincinnati area. Bill Gates, and his foundation, began supporting polio eradication in 2002 by giving us measly $1 million at that time. Now, if we as Rotarians around the world raise $50 billion by June 30th, he will kick in $100 million. So that's 2 for 1 to eradicate polio, because the money still needs to be there. So Rotary International does honor its donors, and a certificate of appreciation and a pin is given to at the beginning level of the foundation. Multiple Paul Harris Fellow recognition is given at subsequent $1,000 levels, and recognition consists of pins and additional stones. So at the +1 level to the +5 level, the Rotarian will receive a sapphire stone in their inner. And +6 to 8, it receives rubies. And then one of these major donor pins over here, you get a little diamond clip in there as well. So please consider that it's very easy to donate. You can do it on you have a Rotary.org account. You can go onto that and you can make $83 a month contribution, and you can become a major donor. So today we're going to honor 3 of our Rotarians. And first I'd like to invite number 1, Steve King, to come forth to receive his pin. He is a Paul Harris +4. This is King Steve. And we'd like to have Ariel Miller come forth. But Ariel, she is a Paul Harris Fellow +4. She likes sapphires. And we have Ed Mathis, and he's a Paul Harris Fellow +1. So I want to, again, let's give them all a round of applause. Again, thank you for your support. And also, there's another level in both Paul Harris Society, and if you donate, agree to donate $1,000 a year for a 5-year period of time, you get a special Paul Harris pin for that donation, and I'm the chair for the district for that particular program. So again, thank you.
And so Rotarians are still rotating. Here to talk us about the next place we're rotating for Rotary After Hours is Eddie Rowan. Eddie?
Thank you, President Doug. As you mentioned, I'm thrilled to announce that we will be hosting our next Rotary After Hours at the Dan Beard Council office, which we affectionately call the Scout Achievement Center in Evendale on Reading Road. It will be Friday, November 17th. And we have secured and we'll be preparing a special scouting delicacy, which we call a Dutch oven. Via one of our local scout troops, we'll be preparing in an indoor-outdoor fireplace for those of us that are still inside today and a little bit cold. You can be inside and enjoy the warmth, or you can be outside and enjoy the warmth. Either way, we hope that everybody will join us from 6 to 8 p.m. on Friday, November 17th at the Scout Achievement Center. You can register or RSVP. We encourage you to bring spouses, friends, neighbors, etc. We're happy to give a tour of the facility and let you see some of the really cool things that Scouting does for Greater Cincinnati and North Kentucky. Thank you.
Thank you, Eddie. 3 quick announcements. You have one more deadline ahead of you soon, November 16th, for you to grab a tag, return it to the Rotary office. These are our gifts for the Condon School Party. I grabbed mine too. There's a bunch out there still left for you to gift. Essentially, it tells you exactly how to shop, what the person is looking for. You return it to the Rotary office, each in a separate package, no gift bags, and of course attach the tags to them so the Rotary office knows that you've returned them. Again, plenty out there for you to pick up. Deadline to return those is November 16th. One more note about next week's meeting. If you are a veteran who's joined the Rotary Club in the last year, please let the office know. We always, at our Veterans Day program, honor all of our veterans. So if you were recognized in last year's program, we have your information. You don't need to let us know. But if you are new since last Veterans Day, please let Christy know so that she can gather your information and include it in next week's presentation. All right, split the pot. The pot is $34 to the winner, and the big pot has grown now to $1,002. Ryan, I'll let you choose.
Oh my God.
The winning ticket is 064704. 704. We win the $34. Now we get to see whether or not you're going to choose the Queen of Hearts for the $1,000 and $1,002.
That hurts even more. Nope, it's a 7.
So close. All right, Rick Finley, let's introduce our program.
Thank you, President Doug. Our Environmental Sustainability Committee has done a lot of dynamic work so far this year under the leadership of Eric Miller. And we have, with that, at the beginning of the year, we revised our mission statement to utilize the vast resources of Rotary and beyond to educate others about practical climate solutions for positive environmental change. To support this mission, we're excited to have Ryan Mooney-Bullock as our guest speaker today. In fact, it is great to welcome her back because she was here in 2020, right after, well, really around the pandemic, and spoke to us at that time. Ryan serves as the executive director of Green Umbrella, which is helping create resilient, equitable, and thriving communities in our area. The collaborative work Green Umbrella leads helps reduce emissions, build resilient and equitable food systems, create thriving green space, and support local communities to achieve their goals. Ryan is a graduate of the University of Chicago and Antioch University, New England. Ryan is most energized when she's helping people and organizations make connections between their passions and what is going on in the natural human worlds around them. So please give a warm Rotary welcome to Ryan.
different, and this is relevant to you all because Rotary helped put together an amazing project at two of my kids' school, and I know many of you participated in that. Gamble Montessori Elementary over in Westwood. Huge amount of support from this club to build trails in the woods and put up fences around the gardens and orchards and build this beautiful pergola right outside the school that I got to celebrate my 6-year-old's birthday in last year. So these spaces are well used and just a huge asset to the community. So thank you so much for all of your work there. All right, hold on one sec. There we go. All right, so as you heard, I'm the executive director of Green Umbrella. I've had the privilege to serve in that role for the last 5 years. And this year, Green Umbrella is celebrating our 25th anniversary. We just had a huge party to that effect, and one of the things we got to do as a part of that was announce some big updates to our organization, which I'm excited to share with you all today. So over the last 45 years, we've been serving as a hub for sustainability, environmental, climate issues across the greater Cincinnati region. And we've grown a lot over the last 25 years. So we started out as an all-volunteer group. Now we have a staff of 17, and our mission has expanded drastically from those early days. We were really just focused on green space protection back in the late 90s. But as you heard Rick say, now our work is much more broadly focused. So we're helping to reduce emissions, create and protect thriving green space, build a resilient, local, equitable food system, and support local communities to take action on their environmental priorities and resilience issues. But maybe most important of all those things is that we've also helped to build a connected and interdependent network of organizations, businesses, local governments, schools who are ready to work together on the most pressing issues of our time, including climate change. These existing partnerships are part of what makes Greater Cincinnati so unique and so well poised for federal and private investment, and really helps attract talent and businesses to our region. One of the things that I'm most proud about Green Umbrella's history and legacy is our ability to change and adapt in response to the needs of our community. And we just announced kind of our next phase of evolution. So we started off identifying ourselves as the Regional Green Space Initiative. And in 2011, we broadened that to the Regional Sustainability Alliance. But just a few weeks ago, we announced that we see ourselves now as the Regional Climate Collaborative for Greater Cincinnati. Now that was a program that we actually launched last year as one element under our umbrella. But we realized as we were digging into it and starting to build out that framework that it had so much more potential. So we grew the collaborative model from just one element of our programming to an organization-wide framework. And we think this is so critical because there is truly no time to waste. We are just 6 years away from a major milestone to cutting greenhouse gas emissions in order to avoid some of the worst impacts of climate change. Our region is growing in population and will continue to do so because it is a climate haven compared to the coasts and the south and other places around the world. And we have a lot of work to do, not only to prepare the people who live here now, but our future residents to reduce emissions and to prepare for the impacts of climate change. Today, approximately 325,000 people in our community live in a city, with a dedicated roadmap for climate action. This is basically the population of the city of Cincinnati, which has a long-standing Green Cincinnati plan, and the city of Oxford, which just adopted a climate plan a few weeks ago. But that's 2 million people short of where we should be. Green Umbrella's expanded reach is designed to ensure that all 2.2 million people across the greater Cincinnati region, which is 10 counties, live in a community that is ready to take decisive action in the face of climate change. Because the time for action was 20 years ago, but now it's now, right? We have to do as much as we can right now. So the idea is that this clarified purpose and structure is going to help us better support Greater Cincinnati through a massive transition. a dramatic drawdown of emissions, and investment in equity-focused resilience to the impacts of climate change. And it does mean some exciting changes for our organization as well. We have hired 8 new staff in the last 6 months, 6 of whom are in positions new to the organization. They are helping increase our capacity to support our members and to develop programming that truly serves this whole 10-county region. We're also expanding our member benefits. We have seen that Green Umbrella is only as impactful as our members. Right now we have over 230 organizations who are a part of our network. They are the ones who are implementing programs and enacting policies that are truly helping our region become more resilient and equitable. We launched an exciting new website with a member portal that lets our members find the resources and connect with each other and with our staff to help them achieve their goals, as we're also working towards shared sustainable success stories. So I want to tell you a little bit more today about what this regional climate collaborative model actually looks like, and to tell you a little bit about why you might want your business or your local government or your favorite nonprofit to be a part of this networking and be a part of the solutions that we're working towards. So as we see climate change impacting our region, we already see and will continue to see that we are more vulnerable to high heat alerts, flooding, landslides, air quality alerts, just to name a few. But in addition to these risks, hold on, here we go. Climate change is also a threat multiplier. That means that it tends to multiply existing threats to public health, the economy, and all of those things put our most vulnerable populations at even greater risk. But we see climate collaboratives as basically doing the opposite. They are opportunity multipliers. They offer communities the opportunity to share knowledge, resources, best practices. They enable collaboration on projects that impact the entire region, not just one specific community. And they improve our ability to secure funding for this big work. So the type of region-wide effort that we are working on helps reduce costs and improve outcomes so that our region is better positioned to weather the impacts of climate change and to build more resilient, equitable, and thriving communities. With this change, Green Umbrella joins 30 other regional climate collaboratives that already exist across the country, all of who are working on this cross-jurisdictional climate action. And this framework really allows us and responds to the work that we've already accomplished as a regional sustainability alliance with our members and partners. It's in some ways just kind of recognizing what we've already been. We were always thought of ourselves as a little bit of a unicorn because there's not just like other regional sustainability alliances across the country. But this model helped us see like, oh yeah, this is what we do. And now we have peers that we can learn from and benchmark against. So what does this actually look like on the ground here in Cincinnati? This means that we're going to be engaging communities, equipping local leaders, co-designing regional solutions, and mobilizing resources to turn ideas into action and action into impact. So when we think about engaging, we'll continue to listen to what the unique needs and challenges of our local communities, which includes launching regional climate collaborative working groups to hear directly from our members, and those range from groups that directly serve elected officials to directly serving frontline community residents who are really on the front lines of climate change. We're expanding our work with the Climate Safe Neighborhoods program, which is led in partnership with Groundwork Ohio River Valley, so that we can ensure community voices really lead the way on climate action and keep us focused on those who are most vulnerable to these risks. We're also equipping communities to take decisive action. So we're training public health staff on regional climate health projections. We've got an exciting report coming out next month about specific impacts to our local health. We train local candidates on climate policy, and we work with regional researchers on how they can best engage the public on climate issues through a newly launched climate research incubator. Through all of these efforts and more, we're going to continue to deliver tools and partnerships and other resources so that communities can get the work that they need done equitably and impactfully. We also provide designing and planning support at every stage of our members' climate action journey. We know that addressing climate change directly improves quality of life and stabilizes the budgets of our communities. But many people have no idea where to start. This is work that they haven't gotten into. They might just be in response mode. So what do I do when a landslide happens? I gotta cough up millions of dollars to fix it. What does it look like to proactively plan for the conditions that we know are coming so that communities are prepared and know what to expect? Finally, we're mobilizing local, regional, state, and federal resources, including funding. Our staff and partners work together to help communities build their green workforce, implement projects, and secure funding needed to do the work. One specific example of that is that Greater Cincinnati was recently awarded a $1 million grant through the EPA's Climate Pollution Reduction Grant Program. Hold on one second. This regional plan is designed to help leverage resources, including a huge pot of funds that the EPA recently announced, of $4.6 billion coming down the pike to actually fund the work that is being planned for through this original planning grant project. So we have $4.6 billion just in one funding opportunity from the EPA, which represents honestly a small portion of all the funding that is coming out of the federal government to do resilience work, to do emissions reductions work. And we are doing so much networking and learning to be able to connect our members to these resources. But our local project is called Thrive Together. This is creating a sustainability playbook for Greater Cincinnati. There is a coalition of organizations across the region who are leading this work. And the idea is to collect feedback from all communities, stakeholders, and residents in our 16-county Greater Cincinnati metropolitan statistical area, so actually a bigger area than we normally serve, to help shape this playbook. Because we wanted to truly be informed by residents of all walks of life who are seeing how these issues are playing out in their communities. And you can get involved in this right now, or anytime in the next couple of months. We have an initial push coming up now through March to be able to design enough ideas to put together a really robust implementation grant from that big pot of funds that I mentioned. But this QR code links to a really cool digital engagement platform that we have developed that allows you, right now there's a couple introductory surveys on there, but you can share your information with us so that we can let you know when we are collecting much more detailed feedback on specific projects that are being considered for this implementation work. You can also find this linked on our website, but we would love for you to get engaged in this work and to share it with your networks. We are truly trying to create as much broad community feedback in this process as possible. So we know that addressing climate change can feel pretty overwhelming. You know, these are huge issues that have no one quick, fast solution. But if we do this right, we can address social inequities, secure exciting economic opportunities for our region, and create a more resilient, equitable, and thriving Greater Cincinnati. Now, one of the ways that we do that is through a membership program. So Green Umbrella has had a membership structure for over 13 years. But given this new shift and the way that we're trying to support members to better reach their goals, we had to kind of take a new look at that and redesign our membership structure. So we have created a whole new set of member benefits in order to help fulfill some of the goals that we're trying to reach with the Regional Climate Collaborative. Green Umbrella membership is open to all types of organizations, so local governments, educational institutions, nonprofits, businesses can all be members. And we are able to provide these benefits in a way that is creating a more impactful, more inclusive, and more comprehensive membership program. As you all know, the most important part of membership in any organization is the impact that you're able to have together. This is a shot of some of the students that we've been working with at Reese Price Elementary to help improve their schoolyards. We've been helping them plant trees, develop gardens, rebuild a garden after the first one got vandalized. So you all know what this work looks like, and we're really seeing it play out in communities across Cincinnati. When we look at our new member benefits, we break them up into 3 categories. The first one is training and networking, and I'm just going to touch on a few of the highlights, but we have a way for you to learn more about all of these. So within the new member portal that we've created on our website, you can access member contact information from these organizations across the region to help make connections, generate leads. You can build your team's skills by engaging in free training and workshops, some of which are exclusive to members. Your staff can participate in our unique programs and collaborative teams, really helping them build skills and network with folks across the region. We also have marketing opportunities. So we highlight member successes in our communications channels, and we have an amazing public calendar where you can post your events, and a very popular green jobs board that members can post jobs to. And finally, we offer resources and technical support. So this is where we get into funding tracking and technical assistance around grant writing. We've got all kinds of sustainability toolkits and models that you can use. And we even offer consultations for planning and implementing sustainability, resilience, and procurement strategies. We also created 3 levels of membership to give people a chance to customize how they want to get involved and to make it fit their budgets. You can learn more about our membership by scanning this QR code, or you can visit our Become a Member page on our website. I also brought with me today Charlie Gonzalez, who you saw earlier, who leads our membership team and specifically focuses on businesses. So if you have any questions for him, he'd be happy to tell you more. We also, one of the exciting things that we did with this new membership structure is that we're incorporating work across all of our programs. So some of you may have heard of, some of the programs that we support: the Common Orchard Project, the Green Space Alliance, the Regional Food Policy Council, the Green Schoolyards Action Network, and the Cincinnati 2030 District. Now, membership in Green Umbrella connects you with all those resources as well. So your business or organization could join the 2030 District to track your building's emissions reductions. You could engage employees with dynamic kind of team building experiences with the Common Orchard Project or the Green Schoolyards work, and tap into workplace wellness and values-based food purchasing consultations through the Food Policy Council. In the next 2 weeks, we're hosting a number of webinars, each geared for different audiences. So the first one is this Friday for local governments. And we'd love for you to join and for you to share this opportunity with folks that you know. You can register for these on our events website, or reach out to membership@greenumbrella.org to learn more. So under this new model, we're reinforcing the fact that all of the work that Green Umbrella is in is climate action. From sustainable food, to the built environment, to community activation, we need it all in order to tackle these big challenges. And our goal is to see more collaboration, more programming, more policy change across this 10-county region that we serve, and an increasingly diverse and accountable set of voices who are leading the way. We hope that the Rotary Club and the many businesses and organizations and local governments that you all are involved in as leaders in this community can join us as leaders in this work. Your membership, your participation will help give us the capacity to better work together to build the resilient, equitable, and thriving region that not only we want to live in, but we want our children and grandchildren to be able to enjoy. Thank you. I'd love to hear what questions you all have and what ideas you have for taking local action on climate issues.
Yeah, I was previously on the board of Madisonville Urban Redevelopment Corporation. It's one of many so-called Kirks across the city. And some of the things you're talking about are things that, and it's many things that the Kirks get involved in. But, things like sustainable food, neighborhood cleanup, planting trees. we did a lot of that kind of stuff.
Yes.
Do you have any relationship with the Kirks in the city? And if so, what does that look like?
Yeah, we absolutely do. At this point, it's more of a like one-on-one engagement, so we don't have a specific strategy that we're trying to employ with all of the urban redevelopment corporations, but we closely partner with them as specific issues come up. So we're really interested in things like how streets are designed, how density is changed within communities. As I mentioned before, we expect to see a big increase in population in our region, and we want to make sure that that doesn't mean that we just start sprawling farther and farther, right? We believe that redesigning our urban spaces so that people can live in dense, walkable, bikeable communities where they can walk to the grocery store and to a child care center and to other resources that they need are going to be really critical. And so we definitely see those community councils and urban redevelopment corporations as a huge part of that. So we're working to engage them even more in the school space. Yeah?
How much engagement do you have with the local urban farms throughout the area? When kids volunteer for the church, the Mormon Heritage Farm, things of that nature?
Yes, many of them are members of Green Umbrella and are actively involved in our work. So our Food Policy Council and our Green Schoolyards program both work very closely in food. Some of that is helping to provide resources to urban farmers. And there's also community gardens versus farms are kind of like a different beast, right? Like a farm is more of a production area versus a community garden where people can come and grow food and learn about gardening. But we have a great network of farmers that we're in conversation with, and we have played a big part in helping to build out the infrastructure that helps get food into consumers' hands. So as you might imagine, especially if you deal with food procurement in any way, whenever you're dealing with food at a large scale, it gets very complicated and very regulated very quickly. And so we want to make sure that we are helping to remove barriers so that small farmers in particular can help get their food to larger buyers so that they have regular customers. They're not reliant only on farmers market sales, but they can count on institutions, restaurants, or other large-scale buyers to make sure that they have a customer for their product. And then through our Green Schoolyards connection with the Food Policy Council, we do a lot of work connecting local food to students. So some of that is in resources and curriculum for school garden learning at schools, but we're also been helping Cincinnati Public Schools purchase local food so that the food that the students are accessing in their cafeterias is coming from local farms. And that they're learning about that so they're more likely to try to want to eat it. Yeah.
Ryan, what would it look like if the Rotary Club of Cincinnati joined the
Green Umbrella? First of all, we would love it. We would be so excited if that happened. And I'm assuming you're a nonprofit organization. Yeah, so you would be joining as a nonprofit member. And we have, the way that our membership is structured, we have different levels, like I mentioned before. And so the club could look at how it wants to be involved and how many people it wants to have access to our resources through our online system and our trainings. But basically, we would work with you to figure out, what are you interested in doing? Do you want club members to be plugging in on particular committees that we lead, which is already happening because we have club members that are actively involved? Are you really excited to share more about your events that are related to environmental issues? So we would have part of our membership team sit down and figure out what would be most impactful for you all. Yes?
So Kroger's and Rumpke just recently announced that they're going to have these orange bags
Yeah.
to buy.
Yeah.
Is this a greenwash? Or is this really something that's going to help the environment?
That is a great question. I have to tell you, I do not know enough about the program yet to be able to weigh in on that specific question.
Thin plastic.
Right. Yes, I have heard about it. I know that the city of Cincinnati is really excited to be able to offer additional ways to collect waste that is now ending up in the landfill. I haven't done my research to understand exactly what does happen with those newly collected recycled products, but we are a close partner with the Cincinnati Recycling and Reuse Hub, which also offers collection of hard to recycle items.
So what if you buy this, I don't know what the bag's going to cost, and then you just put it in the recycling bin, and then on the Rumpke's facility, when they're going to see it because it's a sore thumb, and they're going to yank that out.
Yes, that is the idea. So the stuff that is not easily sorted through the current recycling machinery at the big facility that we have, you can put those harder to recycle items in this big bag, and then they will pull it off the line and they will recycle that in some other way, which I don't know much about. Yes?
How is Green Umbrella working with the Ohio Riverway initiatives? Because that, I know that's a big focus on the river as a play and, to play and utilize it, as, a water space for kayaking and canoeing and all of this wonderful stuff, connecting all of these regional communities, right? And so how are you all working within that?
Yeah, so we are a member of Ohio Riverway, and they're a member of Green Umbrella. But for those of you who are not familiar, the Ohio Riverway is a vision to basically create a recreational waterway system from Fort Smith, Ohio to Louisville, Kentucky. So looking at boating on and off areas that are easy to access, but also kind of creating like tourism destinations along the journey from Fort Smith to Louisville. And so a lot of it falls well outside of Green Umbrella's region, but we have been actively involved in helping to develop recreational and just active transportation networks within Greater Cincinnati. So Tri-State Trails, which is actually now its own nonprofit organization, was under Green Umbrella for about 10 years. And it works very closely with Ohio Riverway to connect the watercraft infrastructure to the biking and walking trails that kind of create these other opportunities to explore along the river. Yeah.
Hi. Thank you so much for being here today. I'm from Louisiana, and the houses with the water, that's very familiar for me. But my understanding as a new Cincinnati resident was that the city is still at a low point population-wise. And I wanted to know if you're working at all with the local government just to see, like, are we up to speed to absorb extra people as a climate refuge and how that will impact our environment?
Yeah, so I don't have exact numbers, but the city of Cincinnati in particular, its population was in a declining trend, and over the last 5 years, I think, has actually been seeing an increase again. The region as a whole has been steadily growing, but we're seeing the population of the city of Cincinnati now grow in comparison to the more suburban communities. I know that it's very much on the city's radar that we are expecting to continue to increase in population. And one of the things that we're trying to do is just raise this issue among our broader set of communities, because many of them are not aware of climate issues in general, and that we are expecting to see a big influx in population here in Cincinnati, in this region. And just for those of you who may not be as familiar, the idea is that as people move away from the coasts or wildfire-prone areas or the south, where heat is intensifying very, very rapidly, they're looking for places with ample supplies of fresh water, with more moderate climates, fewer disease vectors, in order to have a place that they want to have their business and their family long term. So actually a lot of the migration we're starting to see now is from the business sector, as you're seeing Intel build this giant facility in Ohio. Folks are realizing that investments that they make in their businesses, they want to do it in a place that is more climate resilient. And that's why it's important that we stay ahead of this curve. Because if we just say like, okay, we're relatively safe compared to other communities, that's gonna go away real fast, right? There are still threats to our region, which I mentioned earlier, and we need to be on the leading edge to ensure that folks continue to see this as a place worth investing in. Yeah.
So Cincinnati's been known to be called a cancer center with a high rate of cancer. How do you relate environmental issues to incidences of cancer?
Yeah, that is a great question. One of the things, I'm sorry. I'll see if I can say it, Trevor, and if not, you add it to me. So Cincinnati has very high cancer rates in this region, and that's from a wide variety of issues. But I think the question was like, how do we connect that the work we're doing to cancer specifically? The environment is just one thing, right, that contributes to the likelihood of cancer. But we know that the types of air pollution that we have very high rates of here in Cincinnati, as well as exposure to other environmental contaminants, are things that we all need to pay attention to as it relates to environmental decisions that we make. So I'll just give one example, and I'm sure there's many smart people who think much more about this than I do. But we do, as a part of this climate research incubator, we're bringing together researchers from across health and social sciences and economics and business to think about how these issues affect our community. And we already know that we've got hundreds, if not thousands, of properties in Cincinnati alone that have some kind of environmental contamination, most of which have cancer risk connections with them. And many of them are located in low-income communities or communities that are traditionally, or as a result of redlining, predominantly populated by people of color. And if we're thinking about how do we welcome more folks into our community and create more dense spaces, we need to think about how do we revitalize industrial areas into productive use once again. And so there's already work happening to do brownfields assessments of a lot of these properties. Unfortunately, these are often extremely expensive projects because there is a lot of material that often needs to be removed once the problem is understood. But we want to make sure that the desire to rebuild communities is not adding health risks to those communities. So there's a lot of conversations happening about how to do that in a safe way.
Given that climate change is a global challenge, to what extent does your organization have a mission to connect with similar organizations on a worldwide basis?
Yeah, that's a great question. We connect with organizations across the country right now, and we are very aware of work that's happening globally. One of the ways we like to think about it is that every emission and reductions has to happen somewhere, right? Like there's always a local connection to climate work because the pollution that is responsible for it is coming from some tailpipe or some smokestack in some place. And so we're really focused on what can we do to reduce emissions that are happening in our region or that our region is responsible for. So even if our electric generation is technically outside of our 10-county region, we want to make sure that the decrease in use is resulting in fewer pollutants coming from those places. Do we have time for any more, Doug?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, great. See one back here.
Yes, what type of key legislation are you guys working on, both on a local, a national, and state basis?
Ooh, you saved a big one for last. I actually, this is not my personal area of expertise, and one person I want to direct you to, or two people, are the ladies sitting at this table, Melissa and Kylie, who really focus on state level and beyond advocacy. Ariel, as she mentioned earlier, is also an amazing resource who is tracking what is happening across the state. And so we are, like, I will just name one thing right now, but we see a lot of barriers coming down from state policy right now. So they are preventing local communities from doing what they want to do when it comes to energy efficiency, when it comes to clean power, and the bills are kind of too complicated and interconnected to mention all right now. But we would love to see sweeping change within the Ohio legislature as it relates to energy policy. It's a huge area for growth, and the states that are doing it right are seeing so much more progress, whereas in Ohio in particular, local communities are really having to work 10 times as hard to do the same type of work. Yes?
I'm Cheryl Carter.
Nice.
And I'm wondering, what are the biggest obstacles to getting more people engaged? Is it, you touched on awareness?
Yeah.
What is it?
That's a great question. One of the things that,
what was the
I'm sorry everybody. I can hear just fine. What the question was, what are some of the barriers to getting people engaged? And Green Umbrella, we typically focus on organizational or government audiences. So when I'm answering that question, it's more from that perspective. I think a lot of people are really, really busy, right? There are so many pressing issues facing our community, and I'm not trying to downplay any of them. But when we look at things like affordable housing, that has a huge climate tie-in. And there's some organizations that are so focused, really rightfully so, on actively increasing the amount of affordable housing in our community. And we're trying to say, hey, yes, this is important, and let's talk about how somebody's energy bill is a key piece of their affordable housing, right? If you have to pay $500 a month for your energy on top of your already expensive rent, it's just going to be that threat multiplier that we talked about earlier. And so we are helping to shift the narrative in order to help people see how the work they're doing also has climate implications, and to make it easier for them to plug into the work. Because we want the collaborative work that we're leading to make it easier for people to get their jobs done and to accomplish their goals while we're also working towards these big picture issues.
Can I just piggyback on that? Our committee is working to help individuals and businesses in the club understand what they can do that is a win-win, that will make your business more environmentally sustainable or your home and save you money. So we have a handout on the registration table which includes some of those actions you or your business can take that will save you money while saving the planet.
Thank you, Ariel. And I have 30 seconds before we immediately have to end this meeting. Great segue to Ariel's committee, the Environmental Sustainability Committee, Rick's committee, meets at 1:30 in the tea room, and our Membership Review Committee meets at 1:30 in the President's Room. Ryan, thank you so much for presenting today. A token of our appreciation is this coin that has a picture of our beautiful skyline that we know you are working to protect, and our 4-way test on the back. Let's give her another big round of applause. Meeting adjourned. Have a good afternoon.